Welcome to the Gooder Podcast, where we talk with powerhouse women in CPG about their journeys to success. This episode is sponsored by Retail Voodoo, a brand development firm guiding mission-driven consumer brands to attract new and passionate consumer base, crush their categories through growth and innovation, and magnify their social and environmental impact. If your brand is in need of brand positioning, package design, or marketing activation, we are here to help. You can find more information at www.retail-voodoo.com.
Hi, welcome to the Gooder Podcast. I'm your host, Diana Frike. I have met and worked with some of the most amazing women in the naturals industry, food and wellness and fitness. As such, I've decided to create the Gooder Podcast to interview these great people and subject matter experts and have them share their insights and expertise in helping businesses all around the world become gooder. So today we get to meet Miss Mary Berry, the founder and CEO of Cosmos Vita, a wellness brand rooted in accessibility, inclusivity, and empowerment. Mary is a serial entrepreneur in the beauty and wellness space, and was also the founder and CEO of Texas Beauty Labs, now Goodkind. Did I get that right? Did I spell that right? Sound that right? Okay,
yeah,
good.
That's it.
They are the leading product services partner to clean beauty brands and creators, which created the world's best-selling natural deodorant. Mary is one of the pioneers of clean beauty. Early on, recognizing the importance of what goes in and on your body. She brings her enthusiasm and expertise to the wellness space, always encouraging people to be kind to themselves and to understand that small steps in their wellness journey will bring big results. She's really a natural leader and a people lover with a passion for community building. Well, hello, Miss Mary. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing really good. You're in Texas, which is really ginormous compared to the rest of the world. Whereabouts are you in Texas today?
I'm in Austin, Texas.
Austin. Okay. I heard that's one of the best. I've not been to Austin. I've only been to Dallas. That's been the only place. And I heard they're quite different.
They're quite different. I grew up in Dallas and I love Dallas, but Austin is like the best. It's the best place in Texas, I think.
Okay. Well, I was surprised with South by Southwest. I've never found myself down there.
I know.
Extra reason is to come and see what you're up to and attend South by Southwest.
Yeah, totally.
Is that something that you would see your brand doing in the future? Maybe?
I think so. I've always done B2B like brands. So, I've never had like a reason to go to South by as a like entrepreneur, other than just for funsies. But yeah, I think that hopefully when it comes back, we'll be able to do something there.
That I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, I always like to start every podcast with my guests being able to kind of share a little bit about their company, real high level of Cosmos Vita and why you exist.
Yeah. Well, Cosmos Vita, it's a wellness brand. I always say it's a wellness brand, and we started with gummy supplements.
Okay.
We're going to be doing lots of things, with the whole eye on, how you like to treat yourself better, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
And we started with gummies because during the pandemic, and really even before the pandemic, I was seeing a functional medicine doctor. Mm-hmm. And so when you're seeing a functional medicine doctor, they like test all your, vitamin, levels and things like that.
Yeah.
And so I was taking like literal fistfuls of vitamins and supplements, twice a day with food. Yeah. And then I'm looking at my children and they're like, I'm like choking it down. And they're like, oh my God, these are delicious. When do I get to take my gummies? And I'm like, well, this sucks. Like, why am I choking this down? And they're like, oh my God, my best life ever is eating these gummies. And so, I'm an evangelist when it comes to if I'm doing something, I'm like, oh my God, everybody has to do this. So I tell all my friends and people who don't even want to know.
Yes.
And so I told them all, hey guys, I'm taking these supplements. They're amazing. And they were all like, no, thank you. We don't really want to choke them down. And I was like, but you need to, and here's why. And so then I kind of got the thing where I was like, how can I make them comply? Mm-hmm. And how can I make myself comply better? And so I was like, oh my God, if it was delicious, I would be so excited to take them every day.
Right.
I mean, it's not necessarily an original thought, but like, I just kind of put it together and I thought, I think that I would really love it if like, I was, excited to take my like vitamins and things that like make me feel healthier and make me feel better in my body.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's kind of where it all started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the idea came from just literally watching your kids.
Yeah, it really did. I have like, I think hundreds of ideas just like randomly. I'm like, oh, we should do this or this or this. Or like, if I'm on vacation, I'm like making up like, boat like business ideas. I don't know anything about boats, but I was like, but if a boat could do this, then everyone would like it better,
Yes.
And so, this to me was just such a strong idea because, especially during the pandemic, I think we all looked a little bit closer about our health, right? Because we wanted to be as healthy as we could be. If we got sick, then it gave us like a better chance of like not being really, really sick. Right. And so, that's why I decided this one was like, something to act on,
Right.
And then I wanted it to be so much more than just supplements because you can get your supplements kind of anywhere. Like, there's other gummies, but like one of my superpowers is like connecting people. And like, I've been through years and years and years of therapy myself. And so, I love to share that knowledge with other people and, maybe help people be kinder to each other and themselves mostly, honestly, which, is something that's really hard for us, especially like people that are very like high achieving, want to be the best. And if we're not the best, then we're super hard on ourselves. And, I think that it's just really important to be kind to yourself. And so that was also part of my mission. It's like being kind to your body and being kind to your mind and your spirit and your soul, all of those things kind of together is really my big vision for Cosmos Vita.
Gotcha. So, I mean, you're not unlike other entrepreneurs that we've worked with in the space of I've got this idea and then I've got this idea and I've got this idea, and none of them are they're mutually exclusive. They don't overlap in any single way. Yeah. What I find consistent with what I'm hearing from you is there's a little bit of pressure that I think that you as a woman bring into this role too, in regards to your performance, that being kind to yourself. I think women do, we beat ourselves up, I think far more. I don't even think culturally, men aren't beating us up. I think that something has happened where we've taken like past history of the way things used to be and the way many men did used to, with all of the stuff that they used to subjugate us to, things have progressed. I mean, listen, we have men advocates. There's a parity is starting to happen across the board. And yet I think we as women do ourselves sometimes more harm than what's going out there. So if you happen to work in a bad environment or a toxic environment where you still have some of that disparity going on, and then you're doubling down on yourself, that's a lot of stress and pressure.
Oh my gosh, like so much. Like, I can say that I don't have any men in my life that, treat me in a way that, is unpleasant or disparaging, and it's me, myself. I've been this way my whole life. I just was kind of born this way. Where like, I want to win. I love to win. Yeah. And I'm not competing. I've never been one to compete against someone else. So like, I'm not going to compete against you or someone else. Like, I want you to do your best. Like, just like I want to do my best. So like, and so I think that we are super hard on ourselves. And there's this, part of Cosmos Vita is we have an intuitive eating nutritionist like on staff.
Okay.
And so I have sessions with her every week to kind of like, be able to, learn it myself and do this sort of thing. And one of the things that we're working on is like things that I say to myself, like about maybe my body or, anything like that, or health or wellness, it's not something I would ever say to anyone else. Ever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like not even someone I disliked. Yeah. And so that's been my awakening in the last few weeks is like, when I have those thoughts about myself, when I'm like, you didn't move your body today and I might have a thought about that, then I try to say, what would I do if my best friend said, oh, I didn't move my body today. Right. I would be like, oh, it's okay. You can do it tomorrow. Or, let's go right now. Right. Or, instead of like this negative, hole, of what I think we can go down,
Yeah, it's very much, I know this sounds really crazy, but I started the Noom app recently. I joined the bandwagon with 9 million of my other closest friends.
Yeah.
And the psychological componentry that they have in their system is really forgiving and intuitive and comfortable, and gives the way they approach even the communication around all of it is really comfortable. It's almost like you're working with your cheerleader best friend, so to speak, but it's not obnoxious. And so I definitely hear what you're saying when you're saying, some of the things I say to myself, I wouldn't say to my worst enemy. And so we do, I think it's really good to that whole self-love thing. I'm a big fan of RuPaul, and I've been watching Drag Race since 1847. I feel like, and his big saying is if you can't love yourself, how are you going to love anybody else? And I think that's probably a good place for all of us to kind of sit and think about right now, especially, we're coming out of pandemic, we're coming out of really unproductive and volatile political situations from the last couple of years, conversations, families being torn apart for all sorts of reasons. And you might want to step back and kind of go, is that a result of self-hate, a lack of self-love? Like, where's that coming from? So really interesting. And totally off topic, but I love it.
No, I know. I can't help it. I always go off topic because I'm like, let me tell you about this thing I'm doing.
Okay, please.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I completely agree with you. It's just been a really hard time for everyone. Everyone in their own way has had a very hard time. And I'm not one that likes to say we're having a hard time. I like to try to say we're having an easy time, so it'll be easy. Like I put things out in the universe, but I'm just going to go ahead and double down and say we've all had a hard time.
Agreed.
So, any sort of self-love that we can have coming out of this really difficult time, I think it's going to help everyone on whatever path they're on or whatever they want to do. We only get to live one time, probably. Right. And, I just really am a big advocate of like, do all the things. Do all the things. Like, do every single thing. Don't wait. Like, I travel a ton because I could be by a bus tomorrow and then, I wouldn't have seen all the things that I wanted to see. For me, I love to travel. So, that's my thing. Like, if I think about, should I take this trip? I'm always like, yes.
Yes. I think we determined this during our prep call that you and I are kindred spirits or sisters or something. Yeah. There's a lot. I'm extremely self-competitive and I'm all about the do it now. You don't know what tomorrow brings.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a strong thing for people to realize in self-care too, is like, I think a lot of us grew up with parents. I mean, in the generation of, you do this one vacation or, it's very like, like I grew up going to Minnesota every year because that's where my dad was from. And like in the back seat of a car with a dog at my feet and a cooler between my brother and I, so we wouldn't fight, and just because I did that doesn't mean I don't know. To me, it's like, I don't know. I want to expand on that and be able to do all the things, I guess.
Yeah, I think we're the same too. When I think of that, when I was a kid, you can see me, you guys can all watch me while I'm fussing with my ears. As a kid, that was like we would go one place and in camping, we would go like one camping trip was like, that was the thing, and a road trip to visit cousins was a thing. And we would do that like once every 5 or 6 years or what have you. And so to be in a situation where we live in a world where it's really easy to travel. It's really easy to do all those things. And it doesn't have to be really huge. It could be like, we're going to explore a different park in the city this week or it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be grandiose.
Right.
So I think absolute alignment with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so let's talk a little bit about, kind of bringing back to Cosmos Vita and beauty. Now, in the last few years, we've really seen beauty and wellness and even food kind of smashed together. What do you think's happening here? What's driving that? Is it that innovators are getting really fancy, or is it really consumer demand, or maybe something else?
I think it's just kind of real life, because when we think about like what we put on our skin is important, but what we put in our body is important to how our skin in here is.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and I think that that's kind of where it's kind of like next step situation, right?
Yeah.
You know, I can put all the skincare, all the expensive skincare I want on my skin, but if I don't have enough water, my skin looks sallow.
Yeah.
Right. Like it doesn't look as like glowing as it like as I would like it to be. Right. So like vitamin D for instance, like it like will fight like the free radicals that cause premature aging, right? So you're putting it in your mouth, right? And that's a better way, honestly, to get it than even on your skin, because on your skin, you can't get a good enough dose of it to really get the effects that you would like to get. Yeah.
So, I know we just finished working with a brand where as part of the brand positioning, we were able to identify that this food, this really nutrient dense food that was kind of just sitting here being marketed and positioned as kind of, oh, this is just something that you eat because you want to be healthy. And we identified that all of the ingredient profile, all the ingredients were in line with products or with ingredients that would help a person's skin feel better, not just feel better, but their skin look better, their hair look better, and and if you feel good about yourself, then that also brings a little bit of something in there. And and all of our research pointed to the fact that this brand could be repositioned as a beauty brand, even though it was a food. I can't share what it is because it's not out in the market yet, but I might tell you a little bit later. But and when we tested it against consumers, there was a very high degree of acceptance for it. And so we moved something that was functional into something that was a lifestyle, which you normally do with a brand. But what we did is we found this white space that really people had been playing around, but not had like put their crosshairs on. So so you're seeing it from one end as an innovator and an entrepreneur, and we're seeing it from a brand positioning standpoint. So it seems to me like it's just more and more of that going in there. We started with supplements. Now it's moving into functional foods and so on and so forth. We'll see where it all goes.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me too, because this is not something we saw 10 years ago.
No,
you know what I mean?
Not even 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. It's I love to see how the beauty industry evolves. You know, it's a very interesting machine / beast to me.
Yeah. And I have not been on Beauty Counter recently. And I know like if I want to see anything kind of more innovative, I know that's a really fun place to go, but it's been a couple of months since I've gone out there and bopped around. But, you know, so prior to Cosmos Vita, you spent a great deal of time building the clean beauty category by way of Texas Beauty Labs. At a high level, what sorts of products were you working on, and what was your primary role or more, why did you even go in that direction? You told me a really great story about how that all started, and love to be able to share that with everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, I started it. I had my own brand, honestly, like back in the early 2000s before like the internet was a thing as much. I dated myself a little bit there. But so I had my own brand, and then people started asking me if I could make their own stuff. I was making it out of my garage.
You're kidding.
And no, it was like literally my garage. And we put an air conditioner out there, like a little portable one. It's so hot in Texas. But yeah, that's where it was. And so I had some girlfriends being like, you know, I can't make my stuff anymore. Can you make it? Because going to manufacturers at that time, you could only get 10,000 of a SKU run, right? Like, so you'd have to have 10,000. If you had 5 fragrances, you'd have to have, 50,000 items that you would have a hard time selling. So, I was like, sure. And so, I started out making like 80 candles. Right. Like, so like a low number for people. So then, it turned out I really liked manufacturing better than I liked running a retail brand at that time.
Okay.
And I just, it was in my garage, and then it expanded to like a room downstairs. And then before I knew it, it was my whole downstairs. We moved out in like 2008 into a warehouse. And, at the end of kind of the beginning of 2009, I was really pregnant with our first baby, and the economy crashed. So we had to either lose the business or move back into the house. So we moved back in the house. And we lived upstairs with a baby, like an apartment.
Okay. What you do?
Downstairs. Yeah, it's what you do. So, it grew and grew. And I had 2 babies, during that time. And, we were small. We still had like 9 employees. We moved back out in, a couple months. But we got a call from someone that wanted us to make natural deodorant. And I was like, I told our salesperson, I was like, oh no, we don't make that. Like, and, we make body products. And so, he was like, no, but like, please. And I was like, okay. So we finally like figured it out. He was like, I want to do 500 a week. And I was like, 500 a week is just too much for us, but we'll try. Okay. Fast forward, we scaled up from 500 a week to making 24,000 a day, 6 days a week.
Woo!
In a matter of 18 months. So,
oh my, 18 months. Okay. Yes. Good problem to have.
I know, it was all like good problems to have. It was super fun, super problem solving. I had the best team ever that I built that business with. And, we had 100 employees, all that kind of, fun. It was a really great time. I'd like to say it was 10 pounds of fun in a 5-pound bag. So it was great. But
that's funny.
That's a Southern saying, I think.
Is it? Okay, I love it. I'm adopting it, putting it in my back pocket now.
Put it in your pocket. So yeah, that's kind of was our big first move. We did a lot of, natural deodorant, obviously. Okay. And then we did a lot of natural deodorant for a lot of people. So like once we had that mastered, we were the go-to people for deodorant. Then we also did a lot of skincare. So we really did a lot of clean or natural skincare. Because that is it was really an up and coming category during that time. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it still is, but back then, it would take us like, a year to finalize the formula. It's just a really long time. Right. Because, you're dealing with new ingredients that, you're having to figure out and that kind of thing.
Well, so when you were working with all of these brands, these are private labels, co-manning, however, probably a combination of both. Yeah. Was your role strictly manufacturing, or were you involved in the R&D and development of the products?
We did the R&D and development. So, we did all of that. I probably produced, did product development for over 500 SKUs, over my years. It may even be more. I never really sat down and thought about it, but product development is what I'm really good at. Like, I love coming up with new product ideas, figuring out how to make them happen in the lab, and really kind of pushing the boundaries of what people can do within these spaces because they're so new. Gotcha. I had a client that we really pushed the limit with like bakuchiol, which is like an alternative to retinol. And that was super fun. And then it's fun to see us innovate a product and then have other people come out and copy the product, which makes people mad, but not me. Cause I'm like, did it, innovated.
Well, right. That's your proof of concept, right? I mean, once you start being copied, then you know it. So tell me a little bit, as these are evolving, what have you been seeing in this kind of green science? I mean, I'm going to call it green science because we're using plant-based in a number of these things, including, is it Cosmos Vita is plant-based or is not? I don't remember.
It is. Okay. It is plant-based. I mean, some of the vitamins are not like, plant-based. They're like, vitamins. So,
right. It's a gummy. I don't know what the gelatin. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. They're vegan.
Okay.
So,
okay, great.
So yeah.
Okay. So, Cosmos Vita is your new baby. What learnings or what was transferable from Texas Beauty Labs and what was like something new here?
Yeah. So transferable things are just like, an entrepreneur. I feel like an entrepreneur can be made, but also just born. I think I'm born an entrepreneur. That's what I really believe. Because I was always this way. So I was like selling lemonade at my mom's garage shelves. So like, I've just always been this way. And so, the kind of like go get 'emness of an entrepreneur, like, you know, you can get knocked down 50 million times and keep getting back up of an entrepreneur. Like, it's just something inside me that like I can take from any business to any business. You know, I definitely learned a lot of important, you know, I guess, business things that I can bring with me, like, you know, how to deal with accountants and things like that, that like
P&L, legal, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
All of that. I definitely learned. You know, what's new is that I've always been business to business. And so like nobody cared that we had a PR company, or no one cares that, you know, we were on Instagram, you know, because we're business to business. And so it's been a fun challenge, but like I literally, so I had Cosmos Vita, I was like, okay, like the product development, of course, was done because that's my easiest thing. And like, that was all like being done. And then I was like, well, I'm going to get a website and we're all done. Fake news. Like, no, ma'am. And so I was like, you know, then they were like, well, you need this tech stack. You need, you know, all of these different apps to go on your website that you like track all these things. And then you need to do PR, and then you need to have ads, and, you know, you need to have SEO and all of these things. And so I've had to learn all of that because that's not, and also TikTok. I had to learn.
Oh, girl. You had to learn the TikTok.
I had to learn the TikTok. We made our first TikToks yesterday. And
was that fun?
It was super fun. Like, you know, I have to get over like where I'm like, I'm probably the oldest person on TikTok. Like, right?
Probably not true.
Oldest person making a TikTok. But it was super fun, you know, and thank God our marketing manager, she's like, you know, 23 or 24. And so she definitely knows how to use the TikTok.
Oh, good.
So
hire the 23-year-olds. Let me tell you, they know how to work around the new tech like nobody's business.
I know. Well, and it's interesting because, you know, we always talk about like our parents not knowing how to work the VCR. Like, remember growing up and they'd be like, they can't work the VCR. Like, they can't time something. They're in there just mashing buttons.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
you know?
Yeah. Yep.
But now me for like all the tech, because like, you know, I generally know, like, I can run a business, I can do these things, but like now I'm having to learn how to read like analytics from, you know, ad spend. Yeah. Just new, you know?
Yeah. Different kind of dashboards, different kind of, I think that's probably something that you enjoy doing, is learning all of that stuff though.
I do. Yeah. But I've been sleeping a lot because it's like I learn a lot during the day. And then like mama has to take a nap.
Oh dear. Well, so so you've launched this just in the last year. How are the early days going? I mean, there's some big things. You've launched a new brand, and it's your second rodeo, or maybe it's maybe your third or fourth. I'm not quite sure, but and you've been doing this from COVID, and you know, and you've got kids, and like it's a new world, and I'm just curious, how is the business going? What is adoption like? Are you seeing interest from the channels, or even entertaining those conversations right now?
Yeah. So it's been really interesting. I really like to be, I love to be candid. That's my favorite thing. So like, to be really candid, I was like, you know, I have my website, I have, you know, some of these things keyed up, and then we launched, and then it was like, and then like it was like a little molehill, you know, which honestly I think a lot of people would be discouraged by, but me on the other hand is like, oh really? Like, and so it makes me double down and be like, okay, well, this isn't working. Like, what else can we do? Like, what other knobs can we turn to get this to work the way we want it to work? And so that's kind of where we were, where we are now. We're kind of past that because we started turning the knobs and they're in motion now. But like when we launched at the end of April, like literally it was like we had some orders and then it was like crickets. And I was like, you know, because I helped a whole bunch of direct to consumer brands like build their companies. And I did it from the side of, you know, making the products, which I was really good at. And so, you know, there's a lot of push to this. And there's a lot of things to learn and to know. And, you know, I think really it's about like kind of doing a little bit of it all.
Okay.
And turning all the knobs on and then seeing where your audience wants to be.
Yeah.
I avoided doing ad spend for a long time because I was like, I don't want to go through the painful learning that you have to do with thousands and thousands of dollars for the ads. Mm-hmm. And I was like, people are going to see it and they're going to love it. And that's going to be enough. False. It's not enough. You have to do the ad spend. So, I think it's about looking at what's working, what's not working, being able to say, okay, Mary Berry, you thought you were brilliant. Let's take a few steps back and see what else we need to do to get this going.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, we've worked with brands of all sizes, startups and the really big ones. And I would say that, on the startup side, it's a common dilemma. Which levers do you pull at the very beginning? How much can you handle? Sometimes you come out of the chute and it is exploding, and other times it's not quite moving in the direction and requires a little bit more work outside. I mean, even just knocking on doors, depending on whether you're going to be DTC or if you're going to go through the retail channel or what have you, or e-com channel. So we've seen your pain before. So I can absolutely respect that you're pulling different levers right now. I can get that. And it's fun. I mean, it's fun. It's really fun.
It really is. Like, I love solving a problem and figuring something out. So I also love competing with myself. So then, I've kind of got all of that going for me. It's like, how much can we get done this month, when we're looking at that, and how much can we move the needle by doing these things? Mm-hmm. It's really interesting, like very, very interesting work, because it's like, we thought that our, target market would be this age range, but it's really like, this age range. And you're like, wow, it just, the things that the internet can tell you now.
Oh, I know it.
Running ads and like all of that is it's just amazing. It also kind of makes me want to shut my computer and my phone, smash them, and go live in the woods.
Right. You're being watched all the time.
I know. I did not know that.
Well,
I just been happily living my life, not knowing. But now I know, and
it's the marketer's not secret. I think Apple just came out with a new opportunity to shut all of those types of things down on their phones, and the ad that they created for that was so brilliant, where they just have this. I don't know if you watch TV at all, but go look it up. It's they literally demonstrate what it's like to, as a phone, you're carrying your phone around, and they literally have throngs of people walking behind this guy while he's on his phone, and they all represent the companies that are tracking what he's doing from a location and on his device and everything.
Yeah.
That's what it literally is. It's very hard to turn it off, and many sites won't even let you on their site now unless you agree to cookies. So which is kind of weird, in my opinion. Even as a marketer, I feel like that's weird.
I think like when we look in the future, I don't know how many years, but we look back to this time, either we're going to be like, well, that's when it started, or we're going to look back and be like, we learned a lot from that time, and this is why we have these laws in place to, I don't know. I'm not like, I don't think that much about it.
Yeah.
But, it's interesting.
Yeah. Or we'll become Borg or something like that. It'll be something. Who knows what the future will bring us. So
TBD.
Tell me, TBT. We'll come back in 10 years and talk about this again. So at the end of the day, though, what is the goal with Cosmos Vita? Like, what are you hoping the impact is?
It's funny because like one of the things is like, obviously, we want to sell some supplements, but what's more important to me is that people can have like a safe place where they can come and, right now it's kind of Instagram, we're kind of like branching out and stuff, but we're, where they can come and feel like accepted and heard and all of those things, that's kind of the most important thing to me right now. Is just to be like a really inclusive brand that's really thoughtful about the things that we do and the way that we communicate and treat people, to help them basically treat themselves better and in turn others, kind of as we discussed before. So like, I know that my goal should be to sell a bunch of stuff, but it isn't as much.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds corny too, but like I get my most joy out of, people, being like, I saw what you put up, like a random friend will be like, I saw this quote that you put up and it made me really think about it, And like, that's more what I'm into, like, is, kind of, because we all have those sites on our social media where like we go to them and we're like, oh, they always have something interesting to say.
Yeah.
They always have like, something that really strikes a tune with me.
Yeah.
With quotes or pictures or, whatever.
Inspirational.
And that's what I would love to be for one person even, like that's the deal. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of corny, but like, it's the truth. That's when I get my most joy is when we can, really, do something that might help someone else.
Got it.
Yeah.
And when you think back, the path that got you here and who knows where Cosmos Vita is going to go, I can see that you have a lot of passion and there's a really great opportunity for explosion. When you think back, is there any kind of pivotal moment or anything in particular that you felt like it was a milestone that kind of led you to today?
Gosh, it's funny. I had a turning point in my life, where I had really bad anxiety and I had really bad panic attacks.
Okay.
And I had agoraphobia. And there was one point of my life that I was like sitting on the beach, which, was really difficult for me to get to because I had agoraphobia. And I was sitting with my son who was like, he was the age where they could sit, but not crawl. And so that's like the most amazing age.
I love, yeah.
Yes. So I was sitting with him and I looked at him and I thought he deserves something better than what I'm giving him. And because I, wasn't leaving, there was a mess behind that basically.
Yeah.
And with that moment, I can think of it as clear as like right now, was when I started going to therapy and really changed my life around to be able to be the person that I'm supposed to be. I wasn't supposed to be that person. I had just worked myself into that person that wouldn't leave their house. That was just like overcome by anxiety and panic.
Yeah.
This is the person that I'm supposed to be. And so I had to work at it to get there. And even during that time, like I knew that wasn't the person I was supposed to be, but, I didn't know how to get out of it and get to be the person I was supposed to be. So like, I really think for me in all of business and all of my life, honestly, like it was that moment that changed the trajectory of my life. I could have easily been like, yeah, he deserves something better, but I still don't want to. It's a lot of work or I'm too afraid or whatever, but I chose in that moment to do something about it. And, it really changed my life, my family's life. Think about all the people that worked at Texas Beauty Labs, right? That wouldn't have existed, if I had not made that decision in that moment. So it's kind of like, think about that and be brave with the things that you're doing, be brave with the choices when you get an opportunity like that, where you have that thought, like take it and do something about it,
It's an amazing story that you share right there. And that transformation, I know, did not come in an instant. I mean, it happened in an instant, but I know that there was a lot that led up to it. For those people that might be listening to you that are hoping for that moment to happen, do you have any, like, what is it they can be looking for? Because they can know that they should take the risk, but what is it that you, like, from an advice standpoint, that you just kind of go, this is, these are the things that I did in order to have that moment happen for me? Anything that you can share there?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, for me, I wish I could have been like, I did it for me. Like I did it, like I decided for me that this is the life I wanted. That would be the ultimate response. But like I didn't. I looked at, and I have a daughter too, and a husband who's amazing, like my high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
So, and like I could have done it for everyone or this person. I just happened to be sitting there with Bo in that moment, and he just, I don't know. I think that it's almost like I feel like when you know. And there's been times when I've known, but then I still haven't done anything about other random things. But I've learned to really listen to my inner voice, to be like, I'm going to take a chance and do this, you know. And it wasn't easy, and it wasn't overnight, and it was over like 5 years of intense therapy, you know?
Okay.
And like, at first I went twice a week for, 2 hours at a time.
Yeah.
You know, I still love therapy, you know, like I love being like, and then this bothered me today, and then this, and then this, the conversation has changed,
yes,
but, it's still great. And I just, anyone that's in that space, like, I just really urge you to like, to wait and listen, listen to yourself, because you've always listened to your gut. Your gut always knows. And we know that. And sometimes we turn it off and we're like, nope, no, thank you. Like, my gut says something that I don't want to hear. Yeah. I'm still going to go ahead and do the thing that I'm not listening to. And sometimes that's okay too. Like, we could be kind to ourselves.
Yes.
But when we really listen, we know what's right, and I really believe that. And I believe that for everyone. Like, I have hope for everyone, and also like talk about it with your friends or your family or, whoever. And maybe they have some really amazing wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was so embarrassing to me, like this, when I was agoraphobic or agoraphobic. I can never remember how to say it, but like, it was horribly embarrassing, because like I grew up, I was, really liked in high school, and I was really, I, did all these things, and I was really like ultra like competitive and ultra like, I was a swimmer and all of these things. And then,
and from the South even.
Yeah. Yes. And then all of a sudden I wasn't leaving my house. It's horribly embarrassing. It's humiliating.
Really?
Oh gosh. Yes. It was just like, I could not admit it to anyone. My friends are like, you're not leaving the house. And I'd be like, oh, I will. And then I wouldn't.
And then you didn't.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so it's, and I was that way for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years.
Oh, wow. That's a long time. Yeah.
It was a long time. And I would get better and it would get worse. Like, where I'd be like, okay, I'm going to leave the house, to go to Target, but I'm not going to go to the back to look at the milk. Like, that's too much. Like, and it was a really like intense, it was an intense like mental block I had. And so, yeah, but if I'd never listened to myself in that one moment on the beach with my son, then I never would have sought therapy. I never would have, gone on anti-anxiety medication, because that really helped me.
Yeah.
And I think people don't talk about that enough either. And gone on to do the things that I've done in my life that like are just so amazing. Like, I love living life, it's like my favorite thing, so I love to travel. I love to see new things. I love to go new places. I love to do like, weird things with my family, like, it's just life, and it's so fun. And I would still be in my house had I not listened to myself in that moment.
Wow.
I mean, I'm in my house right now, but like, just for a minute.
Because you're working.
Because I'm working.
Yes, because you're working.
Yeah.
Wow. Lots to share there. I'm sure that it will be valuable to somebody. So that's really great. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Kind of moving along that trajectory, but kind of pushing it back into business. When you are working, when people approach you and say, wow, Mary, how did you do this? Can you give me any advice? Are there things that you find yourself sharing with people consistently on this entrepreneurial journey that they might be on? Kind of, you've done it and now you're sharing with them.
It's kind of like, start now, keep going, be scrappy. It's kind of my thing, because like I we never took loans for Texas Beauty Labs. It was all done, like, it was just bootstrapped. So,
Gotcha.
I had really no idea kind of what I was doing. And I learned like from people on the internet how to make stuff, and then I started, obviously hiring chemists and things like that. But like in the early days, we had no idea. We were just guessing. So start now was kind of that. Keep going. Like there were times where like I would, I have a lot of friends that are like in business and all this stuff. And I would be like, this is where we are in the business. And they'd be like, oh my God, you need to quit. You only have like 2 weeks of like runway. And I'd be like, yeah, but something will happen. And they'll be like, you need to shut this down right now. And then meanwhile, I'm signing a contract for another year on the, on the lease. And it's like,
yes.
You got to double, triple, quadruple down and believe in yourself, that it's going to happen.
Yeah. Because if you can't, if you can't, then it's not going to happen. Right. You kind of talked about it, or at least a little self-fulfilling prophecy. Anything that you say out loud, you kind of bring it to reality. And if you are afraid that something's going to fail, failure is going to be really, really visible. But if you are seeing success in front of you, then that's what is bound to happen to. And I mean, it's going to be a roller coaster ride. Don't get me wrong. Right. You're going to get to that goal, but you're going to go up and down a few hundred times on your way there as well.
Oh my God. Yes. Like failure just wasn't an option to me. Whenever I would think about failure, which was not often, I would think about with Texas Beauty Labs having to go and tell everyone that I quit. And I was like, I'm not willing to do that.
Yeah.
I'm willing. I pawned my wedding ring like several times. I sold my car. Like we almost like lost our house. And, luckily my husband's like, sure. He came with me on the journey.
Oh man. That's
I know.
Awesome.
But like, that was obviously a very long time ago, but it's what we did to make it happen because we really believed in it. And so, I realized not everyone's in the position to do that. Like we didn't have kids or anything. So we're just acting wild.
Yeah. Makes it easier.
Makes it easier.
Yeah.
But there are other ways to really double, triple down on, on believing in yourself so that you can like make it happen. It's not going to happen overnight. I'm still an idiot that was like, oh, it's going to happen overnight with Cosmos Vita, and it hasn't. And I'm also really thankful for the opportunity to learn all of the things that I've learned because it didn't happen overnight.
Right.
Yes. So, I'm not quitting at Cosmos Vita. I'm not quitting until everyone knows about it.
Yeah.
And so,
and to be honest, growth is in failure. Like we've worked with, again, we've worked with a number of brands where the brand owners have come to us and they've come to us on the heel of a success. And sometimes it's on it was the first thing and they were successful on the first shoot. And sometimes they're a little bit more trickier to work with because they haven't hit as an entrepreneur, you are not going to you're not going to hit it out of the ballpark every single time. It's just not going to happen. Because that's life. And so sometimes I feel like the best clients for us are the ones that get the most value from us, are the ones that have been through some of the ups and downs so that when we're talking to them, they're like, oh yeah, that happened to me. Oh, and that's why that happened to me. Like there's some correlation between X, Y, and Z. So I love, if you kind of go, okay, it's going to be up and down journey and I'm in it for the win it. And we're going to double, triple down. I think you're setting yourself up for continual success. Not going to be easy all the time, but
it's not. And if it is like, yay for you. I don't know anyone. I literally, like of all the entrepreneurs I know, which is a ton, because we manufactured a bunch of entrepreneur stuff. It was not easy for anyone. And, even me, like literally I LOL at myself because I'm like, this is going to be so easy. It isn't.
And it isn't.
And let's step back a few steps.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, listen, our time is always up. Our time is almost up. And I always have a last few sets of questions that I ask that are kind of quick. But I just really quick, thank you so much for coming and joining me on the podcast. I know people just love hearing these sorts of stories. So one of the things that I find people comment on the most is this factoid, or call it a happy hour tidbit. Do you have anything about either supplements or anything about being an entrepreneur that you'd like to leave our listeners with today?
Yeah, this one, I thought about this one because you provided this before, and I was like, it's going to have to be good because it's kind of question. It's going to have to be good. Okay, so one thing that really blows my mind still is natural. In my opinion, natural is not always best. And here's why. So like when you're using like a product that has water in it, like I'm talking beauty products, when you're using a product that has water in it, has to have a preservative. So all these natural preservatives start popping up where like they're natural. Well, sure, they're natural, but like conventional preservatives that are not natural are used in a very tiny percent of the product.
Okay.
So think 0.1 to 0.5%.
Okay.
And then when we're talking like natural preservatives, they're used at 3 to 5%, which takes percent of your formula.
Okay.
Right. And so that caused more, in my experience, when we were like experimenting with them, it caused more skin sensitization. It's hard to say, than anything else.
Really?
It's just such a high percent. Now, we went back and reworked all the products, but it's just very tricky. So natural to me, when it comes to preservatives in beauty products, is not necessarily always better.
Interesting. Okay.
Throwing that out there for all chew on.
Don't call me. You can find Mary online.
Yeah, at me, and I'll tell you.
Okay. Yeah. Wondering, are there any other women leaders or rising stars out here and they don't even have to be in our category. They could be anywhere that you would just like to elevate or simply admire for what they're doing?
There's a lot that I admire. One that I love, it's Alyssa Bear from Milk and Honey Spas. It's Milk and Honey Spas. She's opening a ton of spas across the country. I'm super excited for her, and products too. And then also Angela Ubias from a new brand called Common Air. She was the VP at Texas Beauty Labs for all the growth. So like we were, as I like to call us, paired rabbits.
Okay.
And so she has started her own company, and I'm so proud of her. They're getting a ton of press. They do these vitamin C capsules that are completely sustainable. They're in a cardboard tube, and the little capsule dissolves. Like, it's just really innovative, really amazing product. So I would love to elevate her.
Okay, awesome. All right. Well, we'll make sure that they get a special call out in our write up. So that'll be fun.
Yes.
So any trends you've got your eye on right now, and why?
One of the things is sustainability, which I know is LOL to everyone else, because I did not have my eye on this at all during like when everyone else had their eye on it. And now, like, I see brands like Credo being like, or not brands, but companies like Credo being like, we are not going to accept plastic past this point. And that gets me so excited as a problem solver. Because it's going to make people, basically brands' hands are being forced to go to sustainable packaging. And when someone's hand is forced, I love to see what the outcome is.
Right. We are super innovative. Yes,
we are, because we're not going to do it if we can just be like, go on and not have to do it, generally. But like, if your hand is forced and their hands are being forced, like, I can't wait to see what sort of things happen.
Yes.
So I'm excited.
Good. Oh, I have a story to share with you. I was at a trade show last week, and I met this, his name is Trent, with a Chalk XO. They're like a keto-ish chocolate out of Vancouver. And they are in 100% compostable packaging on the plastic side. But the paper goods side, he's like, it's still not compostable. So we solved a problem. So any packaging people, you guys can take this idea and run with it. But we were talking about the fact that paperboard is not compostable because there's no nutritional value in it for enzymes to come and eat it. So frequently, if you see paperboard thrown into compost, it's the last thing that breaks down because there's
that is
nothing.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
I never thought about that, but in my compost bin it is.
Right. Yeah. So he and I were talking, we're like, how do we resolve this? And he goes, well, if we could kind of put some sort of protein fiber in the paper boxes, like something from a cassava, some sort of plant, and just put it in there, it will make it break down in compostable. And that way, if the paper does find itself into the landfill, it will naturally compost rather than stay in its state as paper. So, so there is that, like, people are thinking. So that could be your next project.
I know. I was about to say business idea number 4,923.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. So that was something that I learned in that same vein. And I thought that was fun to share. So if people want to connect with you, are you a LinkedIn girl? Tell us about that.
Best is through Instagram. So if you go to Cosmos Vita, which is COSMOS VITA, then I'm linked as the CEO, like in the not the comments, but like the header section.
Yes.
Otherwise, I would tell you it's Mary Nippenberg Berry, which is spelled weird. Okay. I know, so that's too hard. So just go to Cosmos Vita, find me there, and slide into my DMs. Okay,
all right. And Mary Berry is also very easy to remember. It's such a happy name, so I love it. Oh my goodness. Well, Mary, thank you so much for your time. And I thank you so much for all the work that you're doing for us out here. And I'm really excited to watch Cosmos Vita take off. And hopefully I'll be able to meet you in person, maybe at a trade show or something, since those are back.
I would love it. Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed your time. Okay, everybody, until next time, have an awesome day.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you haven't already, be sure to click subscribe and share with your network. Until next time, be well and do gooder.